This is it. This is the review of the 802D4. And for the last 2 years, I've been waiting for this day to come. Bowers & Wilkins doesn't increase the pricing of the speakers every year, like some other manufacturers do. But when a new 800 series is released, they usually come with a hefty price increase. So this time, the 802D4 comes in at 26,000 euros here in Germany, which is 4,000 euros more than the predecessor, the 802D3. It's also 4,000 euros more than the 800D2, the former flagship, when it came out. So I'm going to compare it to the predecessor, the 802D3, but I'm also going to compare it to an 800, the 800D2. Let's check it out. Like all my reviews, this review is very simple. First, I'm going to give the 802D4s a site score, then I'm going to give them a sound score, and then I'm going to give them my personal overall audioscaleurs site and sound score. If you want me to feature your device on my channel, please send me an email. This 26,000 euro pair of speakers is connected to Mcintosh separates, the MC611 monoblocks and the C53 preamplifier, and the Lin streamer. All of the components were connected to a Isotech Aquarius Evo 3 filter. The review is done at Hi-Fi Audio in Düsseldorf, my favorite Bowers & Wilkins and Mcintosh dealer in the area. If you ever have the chance to check out hi-fi equipment in the Düsseldorf area, please check out Hi-Fi Audio or check out their website, hifireview.de. The first category under site is convenience. And this speaker is not so convenient. It weighs 88.1 kilograms. On the other hand, you can move it around pretty easily because it has wheels. The packaging is exceptional, like all other Bowers & Wilkins speakers, especially the 800 series. The next category is looks and styling, and for me that is a very important category. Let's start with the differences of the D4 series versus the D3 series. The first difference is the leather here at the top. Like in the D2 series, Bowers & Wilkins reintroduced the leather, and I really like it. The second thing is the new diamond tweeter housing. For me, this looks even more futuristic, and I really like it a lot. The third thing is the now separate bass driver covers. In the D3 series, you used to have one driver cover. In the D4 series, you now have two. And they also changed the speaker wire terminals a little bit. They are still at the same quality level, but they even look a little bit nicer. The Bowers & Wilkins 802D4 is available in satin white, in piano black, in rosewood and in walnut. And the differences between the D3 and the D4 are very subtle. I think they are very similar to the differences between the D1 and the D2 series a couple of years ago, but also making it look more futuristic and modern and elegant at the same time. When you spend 26,000 euros on a pair of speakers, you expect exceptional build quality, and the 802D4s are exceptionally well built. The speaker terminals are of extremely high quality, the leather is of extremely high quality, and the piano black finish I have here is also extremely well made. Let's talk about features. And some manufacturers have introduced terrific new technologies to enhance our audio experience, such as a room correction system, for example. I was hoping Bowers & Wilkins would learn from their Formation series speakers and introduce that in the 800 series. They did not. The 802D4 is still a three-way passive design. Summing up the site score, the 802D4s are a worthy successor of the D3s, and it shows in all categories. The speakers look very futuristic and modern. Some small improvements lead to a better overall design with a clear heritage in the Nautilus series. The build quality is exceptional. The features are adequate for a passive design, and Bowers & Wilkins makes it as convenient as possible for us to own them with 10 years of warranty and an exceptional packaging. Chapeau on the side score of 29 out of 40 points. Let's talk about the sound, finally. And the first category in the sound is technical specifications and audio excellence. And the Bose & Wilkins 802D4s have a frequency response of 17 Hz to 28 kHz, which is well beyond the human hearing spectrum. In combination with a sensitivity of 90 dB, the 802D4s don't need serious amplification. However, like with all Bose & Wilkins speakers in the past, the better the front end, the better the amplification and the more control you have, the better the 802D4s will sound. The next category is detail in the sound. And the D4 series scores very high in this category. Why? Well, one note I took was that the tweeter completely disappears in the sound of the 802D4s. For me, there has always been a trade-off between extreme clarity, especially in the highs, extreme clarity in higher volumes especially, without being sharp, without the s in the sound. And I remember, for example, the Focal Utopia series speakers having extreme detail, extreme accurate reproduction of sound. But when you crank them up, you have a certain, at least I always heard a certain sharpness in the sound. And for me, the D4 series, the 802D4, did an exceptional job in bringing out all the detail and being exactly accurate and sharp without sounding harsh or without being annoying in the upper frequencies. Next up is imaging. And for me, the D3 series was a big step from the D2 series towards being more focused and being more open in the imaging capability. However, at the same time, the D3 series lost a little bit of character for me because it was so good in the imaging capability of the mid-range driver especially. And this is taken one step further for me with the D4. One thing I wrote was monitor-like. The D4s focus so much. They really compress and point out the soundstage to such an extent that there is no bloom, that there is no fakeness, that there's almost no character to the sound for me. However, when it comes to reproducing the sound in the most accurate way, the D4s are significantly better than all of its predecessors and much better than most of the speakers that I have listened to. And I think that the monitor-like expression that I wrote down fits it very well. If you were to spend 26,000 euros on new speakers and you are hoping for a very deep, wide soundstage, I personally think there are better options than the 802D4s. If you are shopping for a 26,000 euro speakers that is as accurate as it gets, the D4 is the right speaker for you. Let's talk about bass performance. And in medium-sized rooms, the 802 has always been the best option in the 800 series lineup. Did you know that in the 802N and in the 802D, Bose & Wilkins purposely raised the frequency response at around 100 Hz to compensate for the lack of bass in comparison to the 801 and in the 800? Yes, that sounded very warm, but it also washed the sound a little bit when you cranked it up a lot. That's my personal experience with those speakers. In the 802D4s, this is not the case. The 802s reproduce the bass in a very accurate, in a very, very fast, and in a very, very punchy way. However, at 26,000 euros, it does not compare to an 800D3, nor an 800D2. It just does not have that depth. It does not have that lower end that the flagship speaker delivers. I'm very excited to test the 801D4s to see if they can perform to the level of an 800D3 or even better. The 802D4s cannot. What does that mean though? Up to 40 square meters in medium-sized rooms, the 802D4s deliver excellence in bass. If you need more, and especially if you listen to newer music that is very, very bass heavy, fake bass heavy, that doesn't come from actual instruments, then the 802D4 is the perfect speaker for you. Let's talk about synergy. And if your listening room is smaller than 40 square meters, the 802D4s might be the perfect loudspeakers for you. Why? Bowers & Wilkins has created a loudspeaker that completely disappears. It has complete accuracy, it is extremely detailed, extremely fast, with a very, very strong bass performance. If you have a bigger listening space and you like to listen to more bass-heavy music, consider the 801D4 or the predecessors 800, D2 or D3. They deliver more in bass, but they lack neutrality and accuracy in the mids and in the highs. Summing up the sound score, the 802D4s come in at 41 out of 50 points. Last but not least, let's talk about value. And at 26,000 euros, I have mixed feelings here. On one hand, I am impressed by the quality of materials, the looks, the overall styling, the punch, the groove, the heritage, and the accuracy of these speakers. They are perfect for any room smaller than 40 square meters, and for very complex music. Personally, I would pick up an 800D3 or even a D2 because I have a very big listening room and they simply deliver more down low. The improvements in the highs and in the mids are significant, and Bowers & Wilkins has put together the perfect speaker for medium-sized rooms, but at a hefty price. I can't wait to test out the rest of the lineup, especially the 801D4. Maybe that one will blow me away. If you are in the market for the best speaker for medium-sized rooms with extreme accuracy, extreme detail, a punchy bass, and a beautiful styling, go buy the 802D4s. For me, this is the BMW M5 competition of the audio world.